Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Wilhelm and I created this video to help walk you through the steps of throwing a basic cylinder on the potter's wheel. You can visit my website stephaniemwilhelm.com or follow me on Instagram at stephanie.m.wilhelm to see my work, more educational resources, and techniques. In my studio, I have my wheel raised to belly button height. You can visit my website to see more on my studio practice and setup. The items you will need are a mirror, a small bucket, a large sponge, a small sponge, and any of your preferred ceramic tools. I'll be throwing today with a cone 6 porcelain. Make sure you have wedged your clay thoroughly into a nice even ball. And when spiral wedging, I always throw the pointed and well compressed area of the clay onto the wheel head so I can compress the flatter and less compressed area while I throw. Let's get started. To begin, I throw my clay down on the wheel head and I do a technique called slap centering. So as I'm slowly spinning the wheel, I will hit the clay on the top with my left hand and on the side with my right hand. And this makes sure that the clay is thoroughly attached to the wheel, as well as creates a nice shape for me to begin with versus something that might be very lumpy and bumpy. Next, I'll take my sponge and I'll seal the clay to my wheel head and then just take some time to familiarize myself with how it feels. I enjoy throwing with a sponge so I can make sure that I'm using enough water to keep it hydrated, as well as it makes it easier for me to move the clay with my fingers. I am now going to begin to center the clay with a technique called coning up and coning down. I slowly move my hands up the clay, making sure that the finger rings I'm creating are nice and even. And when I reach the top, I will pause and then with the thumb muscle of my left hand, I will gently push the top of the clay towards 3 o'clock. And I will fold it towards my right hand, which is at the bottom, pushing the clay with my sponge towards the center of the wheel. One of the biggest mistakes made when centering is pushing with the palm of the left hand or creating a flat top versus a slightly pointed top. This makes it more difficult to move the clay, can create a hole in the top of the clay when you're coning up, and can also create a mushroom form versus a clean round shape when trying to center. To complete centering, take time to gently push with your left thumb muscle down while pushing in towards the center with your right hand fingers until the clay is smooth and does not wobble back and forth. There are many different techniques to open the clay. I like to push down on my left thumb with my right hand fingers. And while I do this, my left thumb actually compresses the rim, and I also have more control when supporting my hands on one another. When I reach the floor, I slowly curl my fingers towards my body. This will widen the floor of my cylinder, which is a very important step. You should always open the floor of your pot to the finished diameter you desire. Otherwise, you may notice that you will have a lot of thickness and extra clay at the bottom of your wall. Make sure to compress the floor of your pot as well as the rim with both your fingers. I like to teach a technique that I call a setup pull. Place the side of your left hand fingers on the inside of the wall. The right hand fingers and sponge will gently push in and move up the side of your left hand fingers as those stay completely still. What this does is prepares the clay for a more dramatic move by gently adjusting the thickness, creating a thinner top and a thicker, more supportive bottom. This can make a huge difference if you struggle with that first pull of clay and will help you avoid that common problem of the clay getting too wobbly or ripping off in a big chunk. Don't forget to compress your rim and remove water from the floor of your pot. Okay, now you're ready for your first major pull. Always make sure your hands and arms and elbows are supported and strong. Slowly move your hands up the clay with pressure from the outside and a little bit of pressure from the inside. We want to make a cylinder, not a bowl, so you need to be aware which fingers are pushing the most. You can collar the form in with your hands as you go to maintain a cylinder shape. Remember to compress your rim after every pull. You may need to do several pulls to get the wall thin and consistent. The left hand fingers should be slightly above the outside fingers. My left hand fingers create a bulge in the form, and my right hand fingers rest just below that. When you reach the top, soften your pressure and gently compress. You are passing the clay up, not pinching it. This is a common misunderstanding. Continue to remove any water from the inside of the form. You will also notice that I constantly clean the bottom of my wall where the clay meets the wheel. A straight edge rib can help you compress and clean the form after each pull. Make sure to support the wall from the inside though with your left hand fingers as you move the rib up the form. You may want to do this several times. This is a great way to shape any form and should be done towards the end once the wall is thin and even. This also helps to remove any water and slip from the surface so that you can easily pick up the pot and remove it from the wheel head when finished. Let's speed this up a bit. You can take your wooden tool with the angle toward the wall of your pot and carefully push in and down. This is an important step in finishing the form. The cleaner your base is, the easier of a time you will have when you go to center and trim once leather hard. I will also push the point of the tool into the wall to create a slight undercut, making it easier to remove from the wheel. I always have a large sponge nearby to wipe my hands as I throw. You will need to clean your hands before lifting the pot off the wheel. With clean hands, run the wire tool under the bottom of your pot to detach it from the wheel head. The wire should be tight and make sure to push down on it with your fingers so that it does not pop up and cut through the floor of your cylinder. One really great practice if you are wanting to improve your throwing skills and to better understand your techniques is to cut your cylinder in half. This allows you to associate what you are feeling with the proper wall thickness and evenness. The bottom of your wall should be a bit thicker and should gradually thin as you move up towards the rim. Let me review for you the finger placement during a pull as well. See, my left hand fingers are slightly above, creating a bulge, and my right hand fingers sit slightly below that. This allows me to pass the thickness of the clay up towards the rim. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful. Be kind to yourself as you are learning. Just like anything, throwing on the potter's wheel takes time, practice, muscle memory, and most importantly, failure. Let yourself try new things with clay and things you aren't even sure it's capable of. This allows you to learn and grow so much. Every artist will tell you that the learning never ends. To see my work and more educational resources, be sure to visit my website, www.stephaniemwilhelm.com, and follow me on Instagram at stephanie.m.wilhelm. Feel free to contact me with any questions. Thanks!